Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens preview. It's Steelers week, everybody. Again, week 17. As you can see here, I'm on BaltimoreRavens.com looking at the injuries. Now, I am doing this on a Thursday. A little, I guess mid-afternoon, a little late afternoon on a Thursday. So, the injury report for the game really isn't out yet. I mean, they've been keeping tabs on the injury, as you can see here as I scroll down. But since it's Wednesday, it is pretty early. I'm traveling to go spend some time with family, so I didn't want to not do one of these previews before the game, but it's a little early, so I don't have as much injury information as I would normally. But we'll go through it. You can see all the names here. It hasn't changed too much. Campbell's still on there. Houston's still on there. Jackson, Peters, Pierre-Paul, Stanley, Zeitler's still on there. As you can see, Seymour was a full participant. Stanley and Geno Stone, a limited participant. DNP, that is, did not practice. We'll just have to find out what that means on Sunday night, flex to primetime. You can see here, Ryan Mink, BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer, wrote this article yesterday. So as of yesterday, the information I have is Lamar Jackson didn't practice. Still not at practice. Articles have not been written for today yet. As you can see, Ryan Mink also says Campbell, Peters, also not back. He has noted here that Deshaun Jackson and Pierre-Paul were out Wednesday due to illnesses. So they could potentially, depending on how the way they recover from their illness, probably a good chance that they'll play. Assuming. It's early, so don't really know. It's almost really even too early to speculate, but just trying to go with what little bit information I have. Other article written by Clifton Brown, also BaltimoreRavens.com staff writer. Spoke to John Harbaugh about Jackson's status. If you've been around Baltimore, follow the Ravens at all, especially in the John Harbaugh era, very tight-lipped, plays things very close to the vest. We'll just have to see if Lamar practices this week. Another question was asked if Harbaugh was optimistic that if Jackson will return this year. Sure, of course, is what Harbaugh said. Not sure what that means. It doesn't sound very optimistic to me. Sure, of course, I'm optimistic that Jackson will play again this year. That doesn't sound optimistic at all. It sounds the opposite of optimistic. I mean, it's almost like, based on what I'm reading from Clifton Brown's article, and yes, I am using my judgment. This is not Clifton Brown saying this. I see this as John Harbaugh, Baltimore Ravens head coach, isn't confident or optimistic that Jackson will return this year. Sure, of course. No, that's not optimistic. Those are not optimistic words. I mean, at least in my book. But who am I? I'm just some dude sitting in his basement recording these videos on his phone and his tablet. Here's an interesting storyline that I've been kind of pondering with Lamar Jackson being out. This is his 5th year in a Ravens uniform. Now, yes, His first year, he did not get the starting job until late in the season. I don't exactly remember what game, maybe week 14 ish, that he became the starting quarterback. This is statmuse.com, and specifically what I was looking at is Lamar Jackson versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you can see here listed on statmuse.com, there's only 5 games. Now, they don't have this year listed, but he hasn't played against the Steelers this year. 2 games in 2018 where he was not the starting quarterback. Then 1 game in 19, 1 game in 20, 1 game in 21. I'm almost certain the game in why it was only 1 game in 2019 was because that was his MVP year. We had a great record, and he sat out the final game. I think Robert Griffin III got to start that game. And it was simply just because we rested a bunch of starters. 2020, I think there was I think that was a huge COVID year. And I'm pretty sure Jackson was one of the ones that got COVID. So he didn't play because he got COVID. Last year, I honestly, I barely remember last year. I mean, I guess I just have a terrible memory. But that's why I go to websites like this, to try to reinforce the weird, random, stupid stuff I say. He did have an injury last year. I can't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure he didn't play 2 games against the Steelers because he was injured for one of them. So looking at this, it's a rookie quarterback. Not a rookie quarterback, but you drafted him as a rookie. You drafted a quarterback in the first round. He's been with you for 5 years. We are now getting to the point where he wants a contract. He's got an MVP. He's a very dynamic player. But, as you can see here, his record against the Steelers, he hasn't been on the field much. Depending on who you are, and maybe where you are, what team you root for, you may have a different opinion of Ravens versus Steelers. For us, it's a huge rivalry. Huge. Like the hugest thing in the world. I don't want to pay a quarterback like Lamar Jackson if he's not going to get on the field against my biggest rival. Say that 10 times fast. Like, get on the field, bro. Come on now. Okay, you're injured, you're sick. It's Steelers week. Get on the field somehow. By hook or by crook, I don't know. Go get advanced cybernetics and get a robot knee. Get out there, man. Get out there. You've got to be playing against the Steelers. You have to. It's looking more and more like Lamar Jackson, his tenure here with the Ravens, is going to be coming to an end sooner rather than later. Injuries, illnesses, keeps him off the field. How much money do you want to pay a quarterback like that? Especially when these big division rivalry games come around and he can't get on the field. Yes, some of it's bad luck, right? I mean, he's out there on the field trying to win games. He's doing all these fancy cuts. He's trying to stay in the pocket, find the right receiver. Gets injured. Yeah, sure, that's bad luck. But sometimes luck is a factor in winning games. So if you're unlucky, paying you a bunch of money to be quarterback for this team isn't that great, right? And I get that luck really isn't quantifiable, or however you would like to say it. Stats are. He has very good stats. Of course, if you're looking at the screen, you see some of these stats, assuming they're correct. And to the best of my knowledge, they are. He hasn't played that well against the Steelers. So not only can he not get on the field, he doesn't play well against them when he is on the field. So you hate to say it, but Lamar Jackson might be wearing a different color jersey next year. We'll go on the standings. Talk about what's going down, what implications, if you will, this upcoming Steelers game has. As you can see, Baltimore Ravens are still one game behind the Cincinnati Bengals. It is possible. I mean, we do need to win this game, but it doesn't. If Cincinnati loses their game, then it doesn't really matter. It's still going to come down to the last game of the year, Ravens against Cincinnati. So, really, I guess what, if we lose? If we lose against Steelers, then the last game doesn't matter. And that's it. Or I guess also if Cincinnati... I'm rambling. This game is important, and so is the next week's game against the Bengals. Now, if you look at the numbers here, Steelers still have an outside chance. Even the Raiders still have an outside chance with 6 wins. So any team with 6 or more wins that hasn't clinched still has a chance. Like Raiders, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins. Browns have actually been eliminated because what's our conference? 4-7 in the conference. That's why they've been eliminated. But Raiders still have an outside chance because you can see here the Dolphins. They're as of right now the lowest seeded wild card team. So we shall see. But it does look like, what was it? Chargers 9 wins, Dolphins 8 wins, Ravens 10 wins. So we really don't want to be the lowest seeded wildcard team, because then, you have to play the highest seeded team remaining, which is the second best team in the AFC by record anyway. So that's why the games are important. You want to win. I mean, in general, yeah, I'm sure the NFL Players Association might have a different opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, these players are paid to win. Not paid to play, paid to win. So y'all got to go out there and play to win. Y'all got to win. Y'all got to stack some wins. That's just it. But just to give an idea of the playoff picture, we are in direct competition with the Cincinnati Bengals for the division winner. Outside of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Raiders, the Chargers, Dolphins, Jets. Basically, I mean, most of these teams are still in it. Some of them have been eliminated from affecting our seeding. Like, say, the Titans, because they're 3 games back. Oh, the Ravens, with 2 games left to play. They can't affect. Right, so like the Titans, Raiders, Patriots, Jets, and, well, that's technically it. Their wins can't really negatively impact the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers technically can, because if they win not tomorrow, Sunday, then that would negatively impact the Ravens because they're playing the Ravens. So, like I said, it's Steelers week. We want to win anyway. There are playoff implications on the line for both teams. So we still want to win. And adding to that, if you can see, notice their record at 7-8. If they lose, they will be 7-9. and therefore clinch a losing season. If memory serves, I'm pretty sure it's been talked about all over the sport. Well, at least all over the sports radio in this area. That will be Tomlin's first losing season in his Pittsburgh tenure. I mean, regardless, we want to hand Pittsburgh Steelers a losing season. We're bitter rivals. Yes, we want you to lose. We want to make you have a losing season. Yep. So remember, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, 8 o'clock-ish, I guess, shortly after 8 o'clock on Sunday night. It's a night primetime game, so we go all black. So Ravens enter all black Sunday night. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly, Ravens, fly.